Welcome back. It's time now for Media Watch. I'm joined by James Creedon here in the studio. Hello, James.
Good evening, Tom.
We've been talking a lot in the news about Gérald Depardieu being granted Russian citizenship. What does the online world make of all that?
Well, the tweet from the Kremlin that in part announced it is getting attention amongst other things, Tom. If we take a look on the computer, you have President of Russia, the official Twitter account of the Kremlin, Vladimir Putin, signs order giving Gérald Depardieu Russian citizenship. The remark to be made there, I suppose, is that they're certainly not being discreet about this. Putin is quite pleased to put it out there and to, I suppose, rub Hollande's nose in it a little bit, it might be said. Now, the latest piece of information coming out about this evening is that they spoke on the telephone, Hollande and Depardieu. Depardieu said, "Russia is a great country and not a place where the Prime Minister treats a citizen or calls a citizen pathetic," because of Jean-Marc Ayrault in this whole debacle over Depardieu leaving the country over high tax rates, called Depardieu pathetic.
That wasn't very nice, was it? I mean, it's pretty strong language to call one of your much-loved icons
That's
pathetic.
right. And Depardieu called him pathetic back, so it was a certain amount of mudslinging. Now, in terms of the reaction, you do have a lot of satirical bits and pieces online. This is Khodorkovsky behind bars, and this is on the Russian web. Depardieu studying his new role as a Russian billionaire. I think he's probably going to get better treatment than Khodorkovsky. That's another sort of cartoonish piece showing him in kind of, I don't know.
It's like one of Robin Hood's men. I'm not quite sure. Very mixed.
It's meant to be Russian. I'm not
there.
sure what exactly. Citizenship is the sacred right of the checkbook, says this cynical person, Liam Connell. And you do see photos like this doing the rounds as well, or mashups with a golden passport that I think does not resemble the authentic Russian one much. Another person here in French saying Depardieu has got to be the only Russian millionaire silly enough to choose Belgium over the Côte d'Azur. But the thing is there, Belgium have now said, hey, if you've taken a Russian passport, you can't come to Belgium, because the whole thing is he was seen as being in tax exile in Belgium. Anyway,
it's not better off.
Perhaps.
No one likes that.
What about this? Here you have, again, I doubt that's the real deal. That's quite an old photo of Depardieu. And here it's somebody saying he must have gotten Russian nationality after a blood test. Somebody inferring that maybe Gérard and the Russians both like a drink now and again. This is my personal favourite, Gérard Depardieu, or Depardievsky.
That's very, very poetic. Yes, it speaks volumes, those two words.
They do indeed. He's settling in. So there you go. Now, I think we have a couple of pictures, and we may as well roll them quickly on the attachment that Gérard Depardieu has had to Russia and former Soviet countries over the years. This is an ad he did for an Armenian airline. Later on, he also did ads for banks, Sovietsky, etc., Ketchup even. He also appeared at Kadyrov, that's the Chechen dictator's 36th birthday back in October, where he said, "Glory to Kadyrov." And he said it in Russian as well. So listen, quite a long history between Depardieu and Russia and former Soviet states.
Possibly a long future as well. Right. Now, the changing tack entirely, the Argentinian president, Cristina Kirchner, has written a letter to the Prime Minister of Great Britain, David Cameron, and it's not a particularly private one, isn't it?
No, this was in The Guardian, a full-page advertisement in The Guardian. I think we have a close-up of it here. Some criticism for The Guardian. She basically said, look, this is colonial behaviour. This is 30 years after the Falklands War. And she, very publicly said, we think this is colonial. Now, here is an official Falkland Islands Twitter account which has entered into interaction on Twitter with The Guardian, saying, why are you publishing literature from someone who refuses to accept our existence? I suppose pointing out that The Guardian is a British paper. The Falklands are British islands, so it seems to be a contradiction in some senses there. A satirical account from Elizabeth Windsor saying, we received your letter, thanks for the thoughts, but we'll actually just hold on to the Falklands. Then, if Cristina Kirchner was trying to whip up some nationalist sentiment, she succeeded, because you have tweets such as this online as well, people saying 100 years of English usurpation of our islands. A great country must be united in order to cast off the colonial invader. So you had some tweets supporting her. A lot of people, in particular, a lot of reaction in the British press that was critical of this, saying indeed that the Falkland Islanders are almost entirely in favour of remaining part of Britain. Hands off the Falklands, no to Argentine imperialism. I quite liked this one. It's a bit tongue-in-cheek. Attacks colonialism wants to colonize the Falklands. And I think we can just finish, Tom, with these images. This was an ad before the Olympic Games. You might remember it. It featured an Argentinian athlete. And at the very end of this, I'm not sure if we'll have time to show it, are the words, to compete on English soil, a reference to the London Olympics, we train on Argentine soil. So this is a sort of a regular, I suppose,
and that's
drum
particularly
beat.
Poignant and difficult for British people to digest, because that was a war memorial.
That's
he
right.
was doing his exercises on.
That's right. So it didn't go down well in Britain. So there you go. It's a regular conflict that comes back quite publicly.
All right, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you very much
Thanks, Tom.
indeed, James Creedon. That was Media Watch.